What about hot air balloons? Because I don't know what it is about hot air balloons to me. I just find them so hilarious that would you ever get in a hot air balloon?
I've been in a hot air balloon, man.
But you're like a bald eagle in a human's body. I swear to Christ.
I've been in a hot air balloon. To be perfectly honest with you, it was the morning after my birthday, and I was smashed. Like that was the worst. And that was the worst idea. I mean, look. At the time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sunday Sauce, your grandmother's favorite podcast, or as our lovely guest right here loves to call it, the Sunday Salsa.
La Salsa.
La Salsa. Welcome back, everybody. Today is going to be special. We're going to jump right into it. We have our professor from, well, we've said it a million times. I was going to ask if you're comfortable with us saying, but at Delphi University, our professor, when we were in drone class, where me and Phil met, Eddie Kostakis, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause. How you doing, man? What's going on?
I've been all right. You know, it's a different world from last time I saw you guys, man. It's a way different world, isn't it?
Very. So we were in class, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
2.
2 years ago. And I haven't seen you since then. I don't think you've seen him either at school, right?
I've seen you guys like on your YouTube and your podcast and doing this show. And so I've seen you guys a little bit.
So when I hit you up and I said, "Do you want to come on the Sunday Sauce?"
Yeah, I was like,
first
what?
impressions. What were we feeling?
I'm sorry, I don't know why anyone would want to listen to me.
Well, dude, it's a great story. We actually talk about you a lot, believe it or not, because without you, we would have never became friends.
What? Really?
Yep. We met in your class.
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Oh, dude, no way. And I thought you guys were friends before then.
No. And I was excited to tell you that because I'm like, I don't even think he knows. But literally, we became friends because of like the icebreaker at the beginning of class. You said like, say one interesting thing about yourselves. And we're going around the room.
That?
Yeah, and we got to Phil. We got to Phil. He's like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. And immediately my head was like, I'm also a YouTuber. Let's talk about this. And we literally, how many subs were you at when we were in that class?
That was literally a week after like my video popped off.
Yeah,
so
the first big one.
I went from like 700 subscribers to like 9,000. And I thought I was like hot shit. I thought I was like the man. I was like, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. And this man looks me in the eyes. He's like, oh, really? I'm a YouTuber too.
It was an instant bond, and then we just became closer. We actually had the idea for the show in your class. It just took us like 2 years of procrastinating to finally get it done.
That's incredible. Wow, I had no idea about any of this.
Yeah, so thank you for. So how did that all come to be? What made you go from just doing all the drone stuff to actually wanting to teach people about it? How'd that opportunity come up?
So at the time, I was working for a drone manufacturer based out of the city, for a Chinese manufacturer, and they had an office in the city, and I had gotten an email from someone over at Adelphi, and they're like, hey, we're looking to put together a course. We'd love to see if you're interested in it. It would be great to have someone who's still involved in the industry and, you know, it is new and, you know, to have a younger professor in it would be it'd be interesting. I was like, sure, I'll come out. I'll check it out. So they asked me to put together a curriculum stuff. I sent it to them and we set the whole course up. It was, at the time, I didn't really have the time to make it really fit in my schedule for everything I was doing because I was working in the city.
Yeah.
I had that 9 to 5, and then we had the class. What was it? Once a week, something like that.
Wednesdays,
right?
I think.
It was like 3 hours though.
Wednesdays it was like 3 hours. Yeah, something like that. And I had a hard time like figuring out how I was going to make it work in my schedule, but I had never thought I'd ever be asked to teach at a college or at any school for that matter because. For the longest time, my father never thought I'd make it out of college.
Wow, really?
So, yeah. Like I was an average student. I was okay. You know, I wasn't anything crazy, but you know, there were moments in time where, you know, some decisions I had made in life, like joining the Marines and this and that, you know, it starts to throw a couple of monkey wrenches into the whole plan. And there I was with the opportunity to teach at a college, and I was like, you know what, this is going to be amazing. Let me go ahead and try it. And for the most part, I already teach people. That's what I was doing for the company I was working for, teaching people how to fly drones. And I mean, it was always more like hey, we've got about 20, 30 minutes to get this done. Let's try to knock this out as best we can. Let me see what I could do for you guys. But now it was more of all right, let's lay out this curriculum. Let's lay out this plan. Let's have a further thing. And it was interesting to see that they were super open about it.
Did you find a difference between teaching people that signed up that wanted to learn and that was their main goal to learn and they had a passion about it versus sometimes a student, like you mentioned earlier before we started recording, like they might see a class, drone class. This is like some free credits for me to graduate.
And look, I'll be honest with you. Like if I was in your position, I would have thought the same thing. I'm like, this is going to be a breeze.
That's what I did think.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was like, this is great. And then I saw you walk in. I'm like, a young guy. It looks like we can get along. This is going to be great.
Yeah. And we did.
And it was great.
And you guys were always the funniest kids in the class. Anyway.
Thank you.
Like these guys, I'm like, this guy, dude, I swear to God, like every time I look over, I'm like, why is Vinny smiling? I'm like, why is he smiling? So I'm like, what is going on? But it was interesting to see just because I always knew that there were going to be those guys in the class because it's college. Look, I mean, for a while, I was that kid too.
Yeah.
I get it. But it was to see also how seriously people were taking it and how they wanted to take it. And I'll be honest with you, like when I submitted the curriculum for that course, when I sat in front of you guys on the first day, and I was like, hey, all right, guys, like, here's the curriculum. I have it take a look at it. Here's what we're going to be covering, this and that. And I was looking at it. I'm like, God, all this is the formal stuff and we're going about it. I was like, if there was one serious main goal that we could have for this, I would love for you guys to come out of this with the Part 107 license.
Right.
And I think you guys went and you took it, right?
I got my
Phil,
license
I don't know,
here.
Phil, you got a look on your face like
Keeps it in the wallet,
like you faked it or something.
Right
there you go. Oh my word.
It's right there.
Phil, what's up, guy?
Beautiful.
No way. That's incredible. So if you were in that class, it was because you had some interest in being able to make money off of using drones, one way or another. And I didn't really have much of an interest for people who didn't want to, because if you're in that class, I wanted, for people to be serious about it. And, we didn't have too much time. Because it was a once a week sort of scenario. And, we had the weather against us as well because it was going into the colder months, right?
There were a lot of days where it was just rainy and freezing.
That was brutal. So it was, time was of the essence, and I wanted to make sure that everybody that was there was serious about what they were doing. And to be able to finish, if, you get out of college, a lot of people go to college for a certain degree. Like, I don't know, they want to be a teacher. They want to be this. They want to be that. They want to be a banker. They want to be finance. But a lot of people don't end up working in that sort of stuff. And because there are other follow-up things that you have to go for and do and connections, this and that. Whereas in that course, once you're done with that course, you can make money right away.
You're good.
Off of that. You're done. So I know that I've done whatever I can to set you guys straight for whatever comes after college. Because at that point, once you have that license, if you don't make money off of that license, it's just because you've decided not to. Yep. Not because you can't. So I wanted to set you guys up for the best success that I could with the small amount of time that we had. So that's why on the first day of class, I was like, raise your hands if you guys want to make money at the end of this course. Everybody's hand just shot up. Yeah. Now, along that path, there were some people who started to trickle back a little bit, weren't really so sure, this and that. But, the ones who wanted to get the license actually ended up doing that. And I think there were maybe like one or two that really.
I'm pretty sure Elena, her name was, right? The tall girl.
She still works in drones.
Yeah, she took off right after college.
Yeah,
dude.
It. I had introduced her to an organization where women fly drones, and she's still doing that. And she's actually till now, she's teaching people.
That's
if
awesome.
You can imagine. Yeah, she's out there teaching people, dude.
She's a mini you.
I mean, she is her own person. She's doing great. I'm happy to see that because that's another problem in the industry. I remember if you guys remember that, I was surprised to see there were maybe like 3 or 4 ladies that were in the class that were taking it. I said, you guys, I hope you guys really follow through with this because you guys represent a small portion of what's going on out there, and once you guys go out, then you start to talk to other females in the industry, and you start to network, and then you decide to bring other more into them because it's a very small population of the ladies that are doing this, and there should be more. Like it's overwhelmingly the majority is men. Yeah.
So how did you stumble upon drones?
Oh, dude, that's a great question. That's what I was going to get to before. Where sometimes things happen for reasons. Some things have to do with luck. Some things have to do with where you're at and how you position yourself. So. Here's the legend.
Buckle up. Here we go.
Here it goes. So my buddy Pablo, he's my business partner for Xizmomedia, my drone production company. We met at Queens College, and we'd always go out and have fun, just like you do when you're at college. And we realized that we weren't really big on Thanksgiving, with family, at least. So we had a couple of friends there that were like, "Oh, you guys want to come with us to this homeless shelter, Bowery Mission, in the city?" I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. And then after that, we'll just go out and have a couple of drinks. Fantastic. So we go there and we start volunteering. We're like, this is great. We met a bunch of really great people. We did that year after year after year. We did that for maybe 2-3 years. Then I joined the Marine Corps I disappeared for about a year and a half, 2 years. And I decided to want to keep going back there for Thanksgiving because it was such a great, I thought it was such an interesting thing. Like, it really is great for the soul to meet wonderful people and to help out and give back to the community. So we decided to reestablish, we started to keep going back to that. But now that I was in the Marine Corps, I wanted to add another level to it. The Marine Corps has a program that's called Toys for Tots. So I'm sure you guys are aware of. You always see it around Long Island. You go into a store, there's a box, you drop off a toy, and then they deliver it to some organization, a couple of kids around the city, wherever. So I had talked to the head of the Toys for Tots department at my battalion, which is 6th Com Battalion, which is located at Floyd Bennett Field as a communications battalion. And I was able to get a couple of toys from them so I could bring it to the homeless shelter at the Bowery Mission. And so I pitched it to them like, yeah, that'd be great, whatever. So I went, I dressed up in my blues, in my Marine Corps uniform, and we'd be there. I'd just stand there and hand out toys to the kids that were coming with the families because
That's awesome.
The way it was is for Thanksgiving, the way the Bowery Mission does it is that it'd be a long line. They'll bring in, 100, 150 people. They'll sit, they'll have their dinner, they'll move out. Another line of people will come in, and then that goes through the entire day all the way into the evening. So a couple thousand people come in, and a few, I would say somewhere near like maybe about 100 kids would come through there. So we started doing that. It was like 2-3 years that I had done that. And then there was a gentleman that come up to me, and we become pretty good friends as the years had gone on. And we saw each other pretty much only at Thanksgiving, but it was always for that. And they were always super grateful for it. And he was starting this non-for-profit organization, and he needed a picture of the torch of the Statue of Liberty to be taken for as the emblem or the symbol for his company, right? And at the time, he knew that my business partner and I, we were just starting our production company, Xizmomedia, and had nothing to do with drones. We were just, camera, a couple of mics, some lights, and let's go and shoot whatever we can. He's like, yeah, I was trying to get this picture, and I couldn't. It was just too expensive to hire a helicopter. But I found this one dude. With a remote control helicopter with a camera in front of it to go take the picture. But he was the only one. He's the only one I could find. He goes, you guys should do that. Nobody else is doing this. It's going to be huge. There's no way it's not going to be huge. So I take that idea, put a pin in it, throw it in my back pocket. We'll figure out what we're going to do with that later. I started thinking about it, and I called up my buddies, my business partners at the time. I was like, I'm going to need $1,000 from each of you. This is what we're going to do.
It's time to manifest.
Exactly.
Let's
Here
go.
it comes.
We need
Here
some
it comes.
capital.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, we need some capital. We got to figure out how we're going to get into this and how we're going to build it, how we're going to program it. There's going to be a lot of crashes. There's going to be a lot of stuff involved, but we're going to figure this out because this is going to be it. Forget it. Like, all right. And then, fast forward 12 years, here I am with you cats teaching at Delphi University and, working for, drone manufacturers, got my own business going on. And it's been a pretty interesting ride, especially like at the time when we had first started.
So that was 12 years ago.
That was about 12 years ago.
I don't even think people.
You guys weren't thinking about it.
People
Forget it.
don't
Nobody-
know about drones 12 years ago.
no.
This is at least in the last, what, you say 5 years? It's been even
5-6 years.
Yeah.
It's been like starting to pick up quite a bit, but
Now it's a common thing. You're like, oh yeah, I got a drone. I have a drone.
exactly.
My friend has a drone. But like in 2000, whatever it was,
Yeah,
nobody
exactly,
knows what the
2008.
hell. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
What did the drone technology look like?
Oh, it was god awful. Oh, it was god awful.
Like
there was a
duct
lot
tape?
more. There was a lot more crashing involved than flying. The stuff was not as reliable. There just wasn't really much information. This stuff didn't come to you with instructions and a manual, and forget it. And when it did, it was in some other language.
Right.
Like the first stuff we started flying it was a German. It was called microcopter, and it was when you could figure it out. But the Germans are very good at what they do, but the problem is that they over-engineer absolutely everything. You ever sit in like a Porsche or something or try to figure out the radio? Nobody can figure it out.
Overly complicated.
Nobody can figure it out. But it's when you can figure it out, it's wonderful at what
Yeah.
it does. But it's incredibly difficult to figure it out. Also, there wasn't a lot of support at the time, like forums and stuff like that, where people knew what they were doing or what they were talking about. So it was very difficult to get this stuff dialed in and tuned in right to be able to function in the manner that you were advertising yourself to be functioning, right? So it was a whole nother ball game back then.
And how long did it take you guys until you felt established and you felt, we did it. We took that advice, we rolled with it, and it worked.
When the first check came in, when the first check
Usually
came in.
when that's happened, yeah.
When the first check came in, and it's an interesting story. We shot our first client was the college you graduated from. I went to Queens College, and so we pitched them because the campus is a very pretty campus, and it's very close to it's pretty close to the city, and you could actually see the city from some parts of the campus. Straight shot, really nice view. And so we approached the media department. We're like, hey, look, we'd love to do like an aerial tour of the campus. And like, oh, this sounds great. We showed them a couple of samples, this and that. And then maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, before we even did anything for the college, like we already had like the whole amount was already paid out. We're like,
we didn't get
Pablo.
this far.
I'm like, Pablo, we can make money off this. Like, imagine that. Because
That's awesome, man.
the entire time, like, my dad is old school. I mean, I see your dad is old school too.
Very,
like your dad is old. Like the look he gave me before I walked into the house, he was like, like I owed him money. Like I'd never seen this cat before, and I'm like, do I owe you money? Like that's the kind of look he gave me.
You want to know something crazy?
What?
So you did, I'm pretty sure, Fordham's graduation in 2015.
I did.
I was there.
You were there?
You might be in a shot.
You were there, dude. That was
I looked
me.
up.
That was me.
I saw the drones, and I
Yeah.
was like, "That's crazy. They got drone photography. Like,
Yeah,
just flying around
dude.
over here." And then later, I find out I'm on his Instagram. It was him.
That is crazy.
Xizmomedia.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I'm telling you, man, sometimes
Small
things
world.
just fall into place a little bit too well. I don't know,
Yeah. It's like small signals here and there, but not knowing what they're trying to signal. That's the
Right.
hard part, like trying to figure that out. So, at the time when we finally first got that check, like it was, when you're starting a business, nobody can open a business and start making money right off the bat unless you're buying into some sort of a franchise or something like that. It's very difficult, especially, I mean, you guys understand, like you guys are trying to, you guys obviously have your setup here. I don't know if you're looking to do other shoots or whatever, but it ain't that easy, especially in a market that's super saturated like New York for media and video production.
The barrier to entry in anything media is
dude,
impossible.
forget it, man. You got to do a few years for free before you could even start making any money, and that's. Go ahead.
I was lucky that after 13 months, I got like my first check from YouTube, and I was like, "Wow, I can do this."
Yeah, you
For-
see, right.
For most people, it's like it could be like 5 years. before-
Right.
It took me like 3 years of making like $3 a month.
Right, and that's a rough ride. But the problem is that a lot of people don't know that is like that. That's the process. So it's extremely discouraging along the process because we were investing so much money and so much time, dude. When I was in college, dude, before we got involved in drones, like we were out partying Monday to Sunday. Forget it, it, man. Forget it. Like there was no stopping that. And then once we got involved in drones, my Fridays, my Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights were in my dad's basement. Parts, propellers, motors, wires, cables, batteries,
Gimbals.
chargers, gimbals,
grind,
cameras,
man.
lenses, all over. It looked like a grenade went off in the basement. And my dad was like, "Eddie, what are you doing, man? Are you making any money?" I'm like, "No, Dad, but we will. But there's enough time where that goes on where it still feels discouraging, where you see other people around you are making money and they're doing their 9 to 5 but you believe in something that much, and it's all it takes is for that one thing to come through. You got your check from YouTube. You got your check from YouTube. I got my check from the college. And that was that push that pushes you in there. And you're like, this can happen. This can work. And for a lot of people, that time is extremely discouraging to them, and they just fall out of it. And I feel sad about that because a lot of very good talent gets lost that way.
Yeah.
But if you have the dream, if you have the drive to want to do that, you can make it happen. No matter what it is, you can make it happen.
Well, that's the biggest thing because a lot of people fall out of it because it takes so much time and a lot of aspects of business to make it, quote unquote.
Right.
If you don't have the passion, I
Right.
tell people all the time. They ask me all the time on my live streams, like, "What do I do to start making YouTube content?" I go, first of all, you got to want to.
Right.
If you don't have passion for whatever you're doing in your life,
Right.
you're already at a disadvantage from the guy next to you that loves what they're doing and is putting in those sleepless nights trying to make it happen. Because look at someone like Kevin Hart. I'm pretty sure he didn't even become famous till he was in his late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
And now he's the biggest comedian in the world. So it's like you gotta believe in yourself that you can do that, and you have to put the work in.
Yeah, and the work is what a lot of people are afraid of because just looking around, we all live in such an instant gratification type of society where, I put out 2-3 podcasts, I barely got any views. Like, dude, you know how many people sleep in their cars just to try to get things going, just because they don't have money and because anything that they have and they've invested in is just that. In the meantime, you're okay. You live in a place, you've got a roof over your head, It's that level of discouragement that really pushes a lot of people out. But for the ones that really, really want to, they all rise to the top.
Yep.
They all rise to the top. There are people along this 12 years. You think I was the only one 12 years ago that wanted to? No. there are some cats that I came across that, hey, I did some business with them. We became a partnership with that and this and that or whatever, but they just didn't have the drive and they're no longer in it.
Are there any cats that like did have the drive and like you still like collab with them or?
Yeah. But that number is a lot smaller now.
Right.
I'm going to put it at maybe 10 now. Like when we first started, now it's maybe like 2.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys were like the long hauler guys. Like
Yeah.
they were the same type of guys. You know, there's a great friend of mine. His name is Max Tubman. He runs a company called BFD Systems. They're based out, I believe, just out of South Jersey, somewhere in South Jersey. I forgot exactly where, but they build like huge drones, like really big drones. And he was into this back in the day because, of course, camera people, like they want to lift these larger cameras with these larger lenses, and that stuff is heavy, and you got it. So they stuck with it, and they're still around now, and they're doing tons of work for a bunch of different companies, and like the sky's not even the limit for these guys anymore. Like they're just going. They're just going.
You fly them all, right? Like small drones, mid-sized drones, big
dude.
rigs.
Yeah. And it's here's the thing. It's because of guys like you that drives this, at least in the past, like maybe 2-3 years, who have a podcast and or who have like a show that drive the newer tech coming in many ways into the drone stuff. I'm going to give you an example. For the most part, we like to deal with these larger, heavier cinema type cameras. And then a couple of guys that were flying these FPV drones that we were talking about before, they started posting some sick videos, man, like just movement that we could never, ever be able to get to, you know, to happen with our larger drones. And now I found myself kind of outdated because I wasn't really up to snuff with that kind of stuff. Like, oh man, these guys are just kicking my butt here. I got to figure this crap out. So now I got to go out. I got to buy all these new stuff. I got to buy all these drones, this newer cameras, and just start getting into it and just day after day after day after day to just to go do that. The same way I did when I first got involved in drones, because this stuff moves fast.
Right.
This stuff moves really quick. And the stuff I'm flying today is going to be the rotary phone in, you know, a year from now. It's quick moving, and you got to stay on top of it if you want to, you know, be in the game and have some sort of legitimacy in it.
Otherwise, you're going to be a drone boomer in a sense.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you feel the need to constantly get the newest product from the best company, or do you feel like it's more about the pilot and the cinematography as opposed to the equipment that you're working with?
Yeah. Gear to some degree has a lot to be. There's a lot to be said there to some degree, but you can put 2-3-year-old gear in an extremely talented pilot's hand or a cinematographer's hand, and they'll give you stuff that the newer people can't give you with the better gear.
Yeah.
Just because to a certain degree it's about piloting, but then I put that to 50-50, and then on the other side it's about how creative can you be and what are your experiences in coming into this shot. Like, have you done something like this before? Like, where have you flown in this area before? Can you see angles? Can you see shots before they even happen? Buying new gear is not going to give you that. And so it's a 50-50 there.
For sure.
Yeah. That's where I come from on that.
What's a typical day? Let's go typical week for you and your business. What are you doing?
Oh man, so we do a lot of stuff for HBO, Netflix, some actual film production, like major motion film production. Like a week or two ago, we were in Dominican Republic shooting for a major motion picture film, and we travel back and forth quite a bit for that sort of stuff. Real estate, commercials, documentaries. But you know what's crazy? Like nowadays, there's a lot more content like the way you guys are doing it now, like this online stuff. Like it's not so much for like production products, it's more to like make a video.
Yep.
We're gonna make a video, and we just want a couple of shots for an Instagram commercial or this and that, and that's been carrying on just fine. And the city's been great with it for the past like 5 years. But obviously after the whole pandemic hit, everything just came to a screeching halt, and production and just like everything else, it really did just die. It did happen to catch us in an okay situation where we were able to make it through, because production is starting to trickle back a little bit now.
Yeah.
But we actually just started another company, and it's called Aerospect. And what we do and what that company does is just to do facade inspections in the city, like around Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, wherever buildings are at. And because the way it works in the city is any building over 6 stories high has to have a facade inspection. I don't know. You guys remember that woman that died in Times Square last year over the winter? It was late in the winter, where she was walking to work. I think her name is Erica Tishman, and a stone fell from a facade of the building, and it killed her
No.
on her way to work.
Yeah, no.
So this is the kind of stuff that the city's battling with, and we're trying to introduce this whole idea of being able to use drones because it's a lot faster, it's a lot safer, it's cheaper, it just works for it. So we're starting to get into that as well. We're a lot of legislation, a lot of like talking with policymakers and councilmen and this and that. So we're as the work from the production side has pulled back, we are amping up on that side.
There's so much application for just the one drone device.
Right,
It's crazy.
right,
You could do
right.
so much with a camera
Right.
being able to be in the air. It's
Right.
pretty remarkable,
So
actually.
do you guys remember what we talked about? I don't know if you guys remember that, but the Avigation Law in New York City.
If you elaborate a little, I might
There's like
remember.
zoning, right? Like
So there's some zoning, yeah, but that's more for like you're probably talking more like airspace.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So there's a law that was written back in the 1940s or 50s.
Oh, God.
That yeah.
All
Listen,
these archaic laws that are still in effect make no sense
Tell me
to
about
me,
it, man. So there's this law it's the Avigation Law, and what it states is that no aircraft can take off or land from any place that's not designated as an airport. And unfortunately for drones, drones fall under aircraft.
Right.
You know, they fall under that. So it makes it very difficult to be able to take off and land in the boroughs. And that's really what we've been fighting for this whole time. And, you know, I mean, you see drone footage all the time of New York City for the most part. And really I see it, the NYPD are more like worried about, people recklessly endangering and flying in places that they really shouldn't be flying. And for the most part, they don't really press too much on it. And, I'm grateful for that. And I think that to some degree they also see who is operating the drone, and if it's being operated, in a suspicious manner, then they start to come around. But other than that, they don't really bother you too much. But that's really what we've been fighting for.
Mm-hmm.
That's really to get that law overturned. Once that's done, it's like the floodgates open for this.
Where
sort of
do
stuff.
you take off from?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The mic cut out. I
I don't know what you're talking about. Just bleep.
I remember that, though, being a huge topic of discussion in our class, where it was just like there's so many laws that like
There
inhibit
are.
you from doing what you want to do creatively because
Yeah.
you just can't fly in certain spots or land in certain spots. Or
Yeah, and depending on the airspace, next to airports, next to, obviously you don't want to take off next to a precinct or anything like that, or hospitals, but there are ways to do that in a civil manner, in a diplomatic manner.
Yeah.
So, that's I'm not
we-
going to say that that's what I do or I don't do. That's not what I'm going to say.
We talked about this in the last episode. We were talking about how far away are we from flying cars? And immediately my brain went back to our class and I was like, dude, the regulations
Yeah,
for flying in the air
forget
with a
it.
vehicle we're probably so far from that. It might not even happen. It's just going to be so complicated.
We might see it in our lifetime.
This man has it.
Yeah, you got the inside scoop.
We're going to see it in our lifetime for sure.
wow.
They're already doing it. They're already doing some of that stuff out in Asia. They're already doing some of that stuff out in China, where like a couple of companies already have stuff that you can sit in, and they're testing that stuff. And as far as like cabs and stuff, you haven't looked into this, really?
And you think like I'm going to be able to get into my flying car at like 75, let's say, and just fly to Phil's house?
Look, I'm an optimist about this stuff. I want to say, with how quickly things have been advancing, the tech is definitely outpacing the way regulation comes around to support it. So is the tech going to be there? I do believe that it's going to be there.
That is insane.
Is the policy going to be around to accept that sort of stuff to happen? In some places, probably not in New York right away, but or in the United States, but in some places, you can hop on a plane and go.
Pull up to a red light in the sky.
Well, that's the thing. There's so many aspects of like, well, what the hell happens when you actually get the car up there? Because there's no roads, obviously.
Right. Well, I actually while the pandemic was going on, I decided to go back and get my pilot's license, and so I finished all that up, and so I always think about that sort of stuff, and I'm thinking like, oh man, how crazy would it be for just like somebody who doesn't really like have a license just hop in a friggin' in a drone to take them from A to B, and that to that degree, I would assume that there would be some sort of a navigation system already set up for single passenger or multi-passenger drones to take people from A to B, and that's really going to be like invisible highways in the skies. They already pretty much exist for commercial flight. Invisible highways in the sky. So that's precisely what I would see for this sort of stuff. It's gonna be super interesting to see what the time does.
I'm excited to see this play out.
It's good. You guys should check it out. I think a company named eHang, they already have. If you go to some of these drone expos or to some of the drone where they all get together, or even like one of these camera things. A lot of times they have these like passenger drones sitting around just for people like snoop
test,
around, like check it out, like not the test, but to like sit in and check it out and ask some questions, and it's super interesting.
Have you flown an actual plane?
He just got his pilot's license.
Yeah, I got my pilot's license.
How's that? I want to talk about that. That's
Dude,
crazy.
that's on a whole nother level, man. I love it. It's something that I've wanted to get done. So actually, when I first started going to college, I went out to Farmingdale. I had first started at Farmingdale to go do that, but then to get my pilot's license to become a commercial pilot. But then 9/11 hit, and then things just started getting a little crazy. The prices started getting out of control, and my family wasn't financially ready to accept that, and I couldn't do that either. So ended up changing my major. But it's been a real lifelong dream of mine to be able to do that.
It's awesome, man.
And
Congrats.
so thank you so much. And so I was like, if I'm not going to get it done now, this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Like while the pandemic was around, I was like, screw it, let's just go do it. And that's precisely what I did, and I love it, man. I take my mom up, I take my brother up, I take my friends up, and it's super fun, man. It's one of the most incredible things that you could ever do in your life, and I wish that everyone had the opportunity to be able to go, at least to take an intro flight, and if you guys ever want to go up, I'm more than happy to take you guys up so you can see what that's all about, because there's nothing better, man. There's nothing better.
I might need like 10 tequila shots before I go up. I just got good with flying like last year, believe it or not. I was terrified.
What, drone?
No, just actual planes.
Being a plane, yeah.
Yeah, being
really?
a plane scares me.
Really? You didn't strike me as one of those cats, man.
I don't know what it. Ever since I was little, I just being up 30,000 feet in the air with like no control.
All right, we're not doing that. No, my plane, the planes that I fly, we're like at 5, 6, 7,000. We're not going
That seems
high.
scary though, because aren't the planes like really tiny?
They're not super tiny. I mean, they're small, but it's not like you could like.
It's not like the wind
stretch out, man. It's not like you
Man.
can hang out in the freaking. I mean, you'll be comfortable enough to be able, to like look around and like move about.
How does that work? You
That's
could
so
just.
cool.
Do you have to like rent a plane? Do you have a plane?
No, so I don't own a plane. You buy in to become part of a club
Gotcha.
at an airport that has these clubs, and typically they'll have 5 or 6 planes or whatever. And so you'll go online and then you schedule your time in a plane.
Jimmy, I need the plane.
Yeah, you go online.
So sick.
You schedule the plane. You tell them, what block you're going to be going up, for how many hours and where you're going, and you show up and take the plane.
Wow. What was the test like? Was it pretty rigorous or is it pretty easy?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's way more in depth than what it takes to get a drone license.
Yeah, I would hope so.
It's way more in depth than that. It takes it's months and quite a bit of money. It's by no means cheap. But it's once you actually get it, if you've actually been wanting to do it, if it's a passion of yours, if you really want to set your goal to like that, like I find it interesting for me to have, just because like I'm so involved in the drone industry, and I many times I find myself having to speak on the regulation side and how FAA regulations take part in it, and so it helps me to understand on the manned aviation, on the manned aircraft side, their concerns when it comes to drone operation. So when we're at a table, I'm looking at both sides of the coin here, where, okay, look, I totally get where you're coming from, and here's where this is coming from, because many times, like the people who are making the regulation and the policies, they are much older. They're much older, and they've been in the game for 30 years, 40 years, and they don't want to look at drone stuff. These guys are just, they're afraid of change. And look, I get it. But change is coming regardless whether or not, you like it. And so, get with it, but there's a way, like, we got to like lubricate the situation, if you know what I mean.
Ease into it.
Exactly.
Were there certain things from the drone stuff that overlapped in a negative way? Like, was it confusing knowing something about a drone, and then when you were dealing with a big aircraft, is it different, or is it all pretty much the same?
No, look, it's they were completely different. I mean, at that point, really, the only thing that I had really to learn from that the drone stuff brought over was more like the maps and the reading of the sectional charts, and understanding weather for the most part, and maybe some radio stuff. Besides that, it doesn't really transfer over. But if that's ever been a dream of yours, and I've talked to a couple of people, and they're like, I've always wanted to do it. I'm like, just go do it. That's the best advice I could give you. Just go do it, because how many people do you know have a pilot's license? Okay, you
My cousin.
You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's one of the most incredible things that you will ever do in your life. And if you have, I don't know, $250 to spare, I mean, I know it's a lot of money, but go get an intro lesson to do that, because it is incredible. And you have never done anything in your life like it. You've never done anything in your life like it. So if you got the time, if you got the money, I highly recommend you just go do it, especially now.
Have you ever been scared in the plane? Like, how safe are planes?
They're really safe.
Okay.
They are extremely safe, dude. They are on some rigorous schedules, like the maintenance schedules, the overhauling of the engine, all the systems in the plane. Like, I feel safer in a plane than I do driving in parts of Queens.
That's what every pilot says.
If you know what I'm saying. Like, dude, seriously. And for the most part, whenever you really do look at it, like when you do hear of a plane coming down, 9 times out of 10, it's like pilot error. It's not really that there was something wrong with the plane. It's the pilot was disoriented, or they didn't see something, or didn't know something. It's almost always pilot error.
Like all drone crashes.
Sure. You know what? Almost always pilot error. Yeah, I'll throw that in there.
I remember that from the course.
Yeah, I'll throw that in there. It's almost always pilot error.
I mean, unless a bird just swoops out of nowhere, but you could probably see it coming.
And that'll happen. Yeah, that'll happen. And that'll happen for sure. That'll happen for sure.
Birds freak me out with anything in the air, bro. Like you saw that there was that one time, didn't a bird? Wasn't that the thing with Sully? Didn't a whole thing of birds fly into
yeah. They slammed up his engines.
thing?
Yeah, they slammed up his engines really bad. I had a situation too where
what the hell's stopping that?
Nothing. Nothing.
You have to do the
nothing.
Swoop.
Oh, it's not, at that point, it's not even birds. Like, I went up for a flight on Independence Day, July 4th, and I went and I wanted to see what it was like to see all the fireworks from the sky going off all over Long Island. And it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life.
That must have been insane.
Dude, if you can schedule a flight, if you can go up on July 4th, just before the sun sets. And it's so crazy because I flew to the city because I just wanted to do a sunset of the city, and it was beautiful. And I'm coming back, and as I'm coming back over Coney Island, none of the fireworks were going off over Long Island yet. And a couple of clowns started shooting off fireworks in Coney Island. And 2, 3 went off, and then a little bit as looking east, then a couple of guys that I can imagine it happening on the ground, like, whoa, it's happening. Start firing everything up, just go. And then, dude, it just started going all the way out east, and then Nassau County lit up like a freaking Christmas tree, and then Suffolk County were like, no way, you're not beating us. And then everyone just started lighting everything. It was monstrous. And dude, I was flying around for maybe an hour and a half, just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen in my life, just about fireworks. And there were some people that also lit some Chinese lanterns. So getting back to your whole bird thing, dude, I was dodging Chinese lanterns just flying around. You can't really tell until they're so close. And it was like, oh my God.
It's like some video game shit.
Yeah, dude, it was, until it's not.
Yeah, until it's a Chinese lantern right in front of your view.
Until it's not.
What about hot air balloons? Because I don't know what it is about hot air balloons to me. I just find them so hilarious that would you ever get in a hot air balloon?
I've been in a hot air balloon, man.
You're like a bald eagle in a human's body. I swear to Christ.
I've been in a hot air balloon. To be perfectly honest with you, it was the morning after my birthday, and I was smashed. That was the worst. And that was the worst idea. I mean, look. At the time, I was dating this girl, and she wanted to surprise me with it, and we had this crazy birthday party, and I had more than I should have to drink and whatever. So we wake up and we're driving an hour north somewhere where a hot air balloon ride was waiting for us. Surprise for everybody else. There was another couple on this hot air balloon ride, and we go up, and I just wasn't feeling well. I'll put it that way. Yeah,
Besides the hangover.
Let's just put it this way. The balloon went up heavier than we lost quite a bit of weight while we were up in the air.
Someone may have been thrown up.
We lost a little bit of weight while we were up. Yeah.
The science of those just don't make any fucking sense to me. The flame,
air rising.
But still, it's like being able to carry a basket of people is remarkable.
I don't want to go in one.
It was you know what it. If you have the time and the opportunity to do so, you absolutely should, because it's another beautiful thing. It's like you're in a plane and everything's so noisy, and you know why you're moving through the air, because this engine's making all this noise and the propeller's pushing it. It's totally okay.
You see the wings,
right? But then you're in this basket,
just floating.
And you just hear the wind.
That doesn't scare you?
You just, dude, to a certain degree, it gives you a little bit of vertigo, but you realize that. So long as that thing's got air in it, you're flying.
But what if it
doesn't? Are we flying? We're flying.
Freaks me out.
Yeah, look, it's not like the air's going to come out of it like that, right? You're okay.
I get vertigo just walking to the bathroom. I can't even imagine being up in the air.
Dude, you got to get over that. Because that's going to limit you for a lot of things. Like you said, you were mentioning that you just got over getting into planes, right? let's say one day you do have to get into a small plane to get to this island where you need to shoot something or to do something. Like, you gonna let that hold
What
you
if
back?
your wife?
Is there a boat
gonna let that
nearby?
hold you-
Is there a boat? Is there like a little
Nope, no
canoe or
boats.
something?
Nope, sorry, no boats.
I'll be honest with you, the small planes do freak me out. I don't know what it is about. Are they more dangerous compared to a commercial sized plane? Statistically, they have to be, right?
Look,
Pilot error.
I don't want to. I'm not going to speak to like statistics that I'm not really too
Yeah.
familiar with. However, like I said, I'll go back to it for the most part. Whenever something does go down, like it's almost, unfortunately, almost always pilot error. But they're not any safer or less safer. I mean, the commercial airlines, all that stuff is on a really strict like regimen of maintenance, and so are these smaller planes. Like, when you get into the plane, even if it's not yours, this is a logbook. When the oil was changed, when the engine was changed, when the transponders, when the radios, the compasses, when all that. And so you go off of that stuff, and for them, it's always good.
I almost started laughing like just 5 seconds ago. I thought of a question. You've been in the hot air balloon.
Yeah.
You've been in the small planes.
Yeah.
When the fuck are you getting in a rocket ship? Because clearly you don't like it on land.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Would you actually consider, if you had the opportunity, space travel?
He would, absolutely. Are you kidding?
I would absolutely love to do that. I would absolutely love
This
to
guy's
do
the fucking
dude,
man.
but
They're gonna love you in the comments. Bro. You're killing it right now. Holy shit!
it would be incredible, and that's already happening, isn't it? That's already happening. I think like Virgin Atlantic has some like space flight. You could get up there for like $200,000 or something like that.
The fuck, where are we going? Get up where?
Well, hold on. Like you get to like you're in the stratosphere flight, and like you get to hang out there for a little bit, and you come right back down. I mean, technically, you are at that point, pretty much getting in outer space.
That's
that
a
would be
flex.
interesting. But no, even above all that stuff, you guys see that dude floating around with the jetpack?
Yeah.
That.
Jetpacks.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised if you told me your company was working on a spin-off project to build an Iron Man suit. I mean,
that'd be interesting.
That's got to come eventually.
Doesn't the Navy have it? You see the guy with the thrusters flying around the water?
That's
see
what I'm
that.
talking about.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. The guy with the jets all over his hands on his dude.
It's
sick.
literally an Iron Man suit.
That's some
crazy.
sick stuff, man. That it'd be interesting to see where that stuff goes.
I heard
hell.
that's really hard to pilot because like the thrust, like you have to be strong to keep it like otherwise
it
your limbs are
seems
gonna
like-
snap off.
Yeah, very little margin of error in that thing. It's not like the drone comes down. No, you come down, you're in trouble. You're in trouble with that stuff.
All right, let's get serious for a second. Let's get deep.
Oh, Jesus,
You've been in the air a
Jesus.
bunch of times.
Yeah.
Eddie Kostakis. Is the Earth flat?
Is the Earth flat?
Is the Earth flat?
No, I don't think it's flat. I'm
You heard
almost
it here
certain. I'm
first.
almost certain it's not flat.
Crazy people actually believe that. I'm not here to shit on anybody's beliefs.
your
but
favorite idol thought that for a bit.
No, that was all for a
Who
parody
is that?
documentary.
Who is that?
I'm a big Logan Paul fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. Is that a new?
He's a YouTuber. He's one of the
okay,
biggest
yeah,
YouTubers.
I'm so-
You're better off not knowing.
Okay, all right.
Phil is not his biggest fan. Meanwhile, I'm his biggest fan. So it's this awkward dynamic of, we talk about him on the show. Usually
Yeah.
I'm very positive. Phil,
Yeah, definitely-
neutral to not so much.
Yeah. 99% sure it's not flat.
Yeah. All right, good. I'm glad we could put that to rest.
for sure.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Man, that's just it's crazy how many different things involve air travel, airspace, all that type of
Well,
stuff.
have you guys been getting into it at all? So, Phil, you've got your license.
Yeah.
What happened to yours, Gay?
Oh, we're talking to me? Yeah.
We're talking to you.
Well,
now.
listen,
I'm about to flip this shit.
I've been
So,
very
Vin, what the hell have you been up to?
I've been
these
very
days?
vocal on this show about it. I think I got a 38 on the test, but I swear to you guys,
What on the Part 107?
Yeah.
Jesus, Louise.
Yo,
what are you talking about?
I'm telling you, man, my test was different from everything we were studying. I don't know if they had an error
Phil,
there.
what'd you get?
Like a 90.
Yeah,
something like that.
Phil crushed it. Well, me and Phil went 2 different times. Did we go to the same place?
I think I remember. Yeah, you guys
went
were
different-
telling me about trying to get there together. Like,
I ended up going like 2 days before, I'm pretty sure, like graduation. I went very late.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting there like, yo, I don't like, because even if I saw a question, because we basically went through an app that would give you all the questions that would be on the exam.
Yeah.
There were questions that I didn't even know the question. I'm telling you.
Okay.
It
Well,
was
here's-
definitely.
Well, the the FAA does from time to time introduce some new questions into the exam to see if they're going to work out for future exams as
You
well.
got the prototype.
And then
Perfect.
Well, no, I'm sorry. At a 38, you definitely did not get
Well,
the
no,
prototype.
I'll be honest. There's definitely things there were things that I did see that I was like, fuck. What the hell? What was the green question on the app I was trying to remember? But yeah, no, I remember walking out of there like, fuck. I'm not going to graduate. I blew this man's email up like 30 times.
Dude, you think that was bad? Dude, I got a couple of guys who maybe one or two who didn't really do any of the homeworks, didn't really show up for
Do
the
anything.
fun or do anything.
We had some schmucks in that
Yeah, and then like I was like, no, you're failing this class. Like, well, why am I failing? Like, what do you mean? Why are you failing? Are you kidding me?
You
Like, what-
literally
are
gave
you
us
serious?
one thing, and that was homework.
I'm like, I don't understand. Like, this was a complete softball class. Like, how did you screw this up, kid? Like, what? So anyway, it was a little arduous battle with that one, but we ended up figuring some stuff out. So anyway, but I am super happy to see and to hear that some people from that class actually pursued that.
Oh,
Because
yeah. That's the coolest thing about it.
like I said, my biggest goal for that was for you guys to, even if you don't get out of college, at least from my class, you can make money. Like, that was my biggest deal.
I think that is the best way to structure a class like that because
Yeah.
it's the most.
It was one of a kind for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
No other classes had that opening. Where it was
No,
like,
no,
you want
I
to make
fig-
money right after this?
Yeah. I
know?
figured that because like
a good
I said,
hook.
and actually, like, thanks.
No problem.
And the first exam that I gave you guys, I sat at my desk and I took a picture and I sent it to my dad. And he's like, "Who is this?" First of all, I'm like, "Dad, it's me. Stop." He's like, "Who is this?"
Same
I'm
number,
like,
Dad.
Yeah. I'm like, "It's me, Eddie." And I sent him a picture of, like, the classroom taking a test. I'm like, "You thought I would never make it out of, college, and here I am teaching." And I was like, and it wasn't until like there was more for like our parents come from a different time. You know, that's the time of tough love. Like, hey man, you didn't do something right, like, you're gonna get smacked. Like, not. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a kid and how people are raising kids these days, but there's definitely a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely see a difference. And I had spoken to some people at the National Herald regarding, because my dad's Greek, and regarding my Greek heritage and how some of that came into play with who I am today and what I do. And I attribute a lot of that to like that rougher upbringing of that first generation parent. Like, not even like I'm first generation here. To like that OTB parent here just being rough, because I mean, like, I see your dad. He looks like he could be a pretty rough guy with you.
It's very cool to be able to, I don't know what the right word is. Maybe prove, to show your father, like, this is something new school that I'm able to support myself and my future family with.
Yeah.
Because that was the biggest thing with me and my dad, because we had a bunch of pizzerias at one point. He had a bunch of restaurants, and I was basically like there all the time.
I could see that. I could see that.
Working 12-hour days on
You're
Sundays
telling
at the
me
pizzeria.
you worked at a pizzeria?
Oh yeah, of course.
I never would have
Yeah, you
thought.
never would have known. And I remember, like, we would fight all the time because I hated working there. And he was like, this is for you. This is for you and your brothers.
Right.
And I was like, I know, but like, I don't like it.
Right.
And I would beg for him to give me more time to focus on the YouTube stuff. And I had time, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But eventually, when that first check came in, I showed him. The next check came in, I showed him. And now he's my biggest fan. We went to get TVs the other day. We'll clap for that. That was
I
awesome.
applaud that, brother.
We went to
I
get
applaud that
TVs
stuff.
at PC Richards, and he's like, "Yeah, put my son on the TV. He's a YouTuber. Like, he's like my biggest fan now. It's
That's
cool
amazing
to
to
see
hear.
that." And I'm sure your dad was ecstatic about it.
It's incredible. It's incredible to hear that, because I'm sure that he gave you flack for, like, not. Small example. You said you come from a pizzeria and you hated doing that, right? You hated doing that, dude. Before I started doing what I was doing, and this is totally true story. My father's got a cleaning service based out of Long Island, and it got to the point where, dude, I was just driving people around to these homes, to businesses, cleaning, dude, bathrooms, and I was scrubbing floors, and I was pushing vacuums, my man. Until one day I was in this person's living room pushing a vacuum. I'm like,
Fuck this.
man, fuck this. Like, this ain't for me. Like, I can't do this. Like, what am I supposed to? And my dad did the same thing. He's like, this is for you. This is a business. This is the family business. I'm like, dude, I totally get it. I get it. And I understand what you're trying to do. And I appreciate that. But I can't, this ain't for me, man. And there comes a time in everybody's life where they realize that
that moment.
this ain't for me.
Yep.
Like, this ain't, and a lot of people, are comfortable with where they're at because that check is guaranteed and that's there. But when you decide to flip the coin and be like, you know what, I'm going to try for a minute on my own, you'd be surprised what you're capable of when you have to make it work.
Absolutely.
When you have no other choice but to make it work. When you're squeezed against that corner and you have that, like, forget it. Like when I moved out of my parents' place, when I moved out of my dad's place and I didn't really have any work coming in, dude, I was ready to just eat rice for the next friggin' 6-7 months, dude.
Yeah, man.
You know, I was living in a basement and just, dude, not living lavish one bit. Let me tell you. And you know, it takes a lot of guts to do that. So good for you.
Thanks,
and
man.
I'm happy to hear that you know it's like that. And I think, and I still attribute that sort of like mentality to, you know, that harder upbringing a little bit, you know, from our parents.
You know what it is too, to their credit, it's they came up in a time, and I don't know how old your father is, but I would assume our dad's around the
He's
same
in his
age.
80s.
Oh,
He's
wow,
getting into his 80s, brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he
looks like Robert De Niro, and he's still like,
man.
yeah, dude, he looks good for his age. Let me tell you.
You know, that older generation, for a lot of people, not everybody obviously, but for a lot of people it was, I don't need to like what I'm doing, I need to supply for my family.
Exactly.
And they
that was the
got that
mentality.
work ethic.
Yeah,
my dad,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I've never met anyone in my life that works as hard as my father to provide for us and our family. And
These
it's
people
like,
don't understand the term retirement.
Yeah.
They don't understand
I know,
that.
it's crazy.
And you know what? That's good for them because they know that the moment they stop moving, that's when you start getting old. My father looks 80, but he looks better than most 50-year-old. And he moves around more than, why? Because he gets up every day and he goes to work and he does these things. He doesn't want, dude, there came a point in my dad's life where I was like, I went out and I as like a going away person, like sending my dad off to retirement. My brother and I, we went out, we bought him, my dad used to be huge, he's a huge car nut. My brother and I, we went out and we bought him a 1980 635 CSI, a BMW. I was like, here you go, Dad. Congratulations, you retired.
Nice.
Get the hell out of here. Just go.
and he drove it to work the next day.
Just go. And he drove it to work. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Dude,
please.
I respect that hustle so much though, because everyone's like, I remember I went to high school with a guy named John, and he had that like hustle mentality, like no matter what's going on,
Kid your age?
I'm gonna make money. Yeah, the guy that has all the coffee
yeah.
places. You just never see him relax.
What coffee place?
It's called Heavenly Coffee.
Okay.
He just opened another one in Merrick, or it's opening in Merrick, and he's got one in, I think it's East Rockaway. But yeah, dude, he's since we were like 16, always
Yeah.
had a business, always
Doesn't he
had
have, like,
something going
9
on.
different businesses.
Yeah, he's a hustler. He's a go-getter. I love that. I love when I meet someone and I'm like, yo, you got it figured out because you made it work for
You
yourself.
make more friends like that, and you will realize that their kind of stuff, their mentality, and everything that they do starts to rub off on you. And you realize that those are the kind of friends you really want to start making to start moving up in life. Because there are way too many people that are very comfortable with what they do on a 9-to-5 basis, and that saddens me, man. It really does.
It's bad when people get stagnant.
Yeah,
You want to
for
surround your
sure.
circle with winners.
Yeah, exactly.
Like these guys over here, right?
So where did the name for your company come from?
Oh,
Because I didn't know how to pronounce it until
Yeah,
like,
we were scrambling for a guy.
Dude,
Like, how the fuck do we say this?
I get that a lot, but to some degree, it has worked as a disadvantage, but it has also worked to an
unique,
advantage
yeah.
because it's very unique. Exactly, it's like having such a unique name and something like people just know. Even when you pronounce it wrong, people just know who we are.
Yeah.
So it actually came about where we needed to form a company where it was 3 knuckleheads, including myself, out of college, and we just needed to put a company together. And a friend of mine just thought of a name, and Xizmo just means, Xizmo is pretty much means like an earthquake or a trembling of the earth in Spanish. All we did was kind of screw around with the spelling of it because we thought it was a cool name. We thought it looked cool. Make this work, and then it kind of just flourished into what we do now for drone stuff. But we had originally started, like I said, just as a regular production company. But at the time there were a million. It's hard to break in, like we were talking about before, until that guy told us what to do. And I was like, and every time I tell the story, it's kind of like how Forrest Gump tells his story. It's like he told us to go do it, and we're like, all right. So we went out, and so even till this day, I name my drones Jenny.
That's amazing.
So you'll see when you come into my office, you'll see Jenny 1, Jenny 2, Jenny 3, Jenny 4.
How many Jennies do you have?
Yeah, about like 7 or 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your favorite current drone?
Favorite current drone?
And why?
I'd have to say the Inspire 2, just because it is such an easy setup for professional stuff. Like it really saves a lot of the time and effort that goes into having to set up a big monster drone.
Right.
And if you guys ever want to come out and like check out what these monster drones look like, I'm more than happy to
Aren't
have
they
you guys out.
the size of this table bigger?
No, they're bigger. Yeah, they'll
What?
like in diameter, it's bigger than this table. Like each one of the props is.
Jeez.
And they hold like those big red cameras. Right?
Yeah,
Those,
they'll
like,
hold.
big boxy
Yeah,
ones.
once you build out one of those camera rigs, you're talking anywhere between $100,000, $150,000, depending on what you've got.
How
Like,
much weight can they?
so legally, you're not allowed to carry more than 55 pounds, including the whole drone. And 55 pounds, right? Yeah, but they'll carry a lot more. We're talking like 60, 70 pounds.
I was about to say.
Casey Neistat hung from one.
Yeah,
and filmed something. You ever see that?
Yeah, I've seen
was
that.
crazy.
Yeah, that was an interesting video for sure.
How did that even work? Like, how did he?
So I believe it was a 16 motor coaxial, and what that coaxial just means motor on top, motor on bottom. So they had 8 arms and then a motor on each arm. So one on top and one on bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just creating a crazy amount of thrust. Now, I don't think it was actually able to keep him hanging in the air. What it could do was kind of almost like, you ever see those surf guys with the like the sail,
Parasailing?
windsurf, yeah, something like
Yeah.
that, where they come off,
It just glides down,
yeah, kind of
kinda,
glides
right?
down.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was able to keep him in the air for a little while, but I don't think it was able to, like, maybe it was able to sing. I can't remember, but maybe it was. But that's a whole lot of thrust, and I think they did that in Canada or somewhere. I don't know if they would be able to get away with that in the United States. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and that video is like what, like 4 or 5 years old now? I don't know.
Yeah,
3,
it
4
was
years
a
old?
couple years
It was
ago,
a couple
for
years
sure.
ago. So I mean, now you could do the same thing with less, just because the motors have gotten so much more efficient and bigger themselves, and the propellers have gotten bigger. Now you don't need that many motors.
It's so crazy.
Do you
Yeah,
know
dude.
that one FPV drone flyer? Like the guy that everyone.
Yeah, I believe the gentleman, Johnny FPV.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a name, Johnny First Person.
Johnny FPV. Yeah, he's a super great guy.
Oh.
I know he works over for the guys over at Wild Rabbit Aerial. They're based out of the West Coast, and he does all their FPV work and probably a couple other things. But he's a super talented kid, super talented pilot. He's been around for quite some time, and really a lot of people attribute him for bringing around this whole mounting a small GoPro and just squeezing in the smallest
Just
areas and
sending
doing
it,
all
yeah.
sort, just surfing down some building sides and keeping up with some of these drifting cars. And he's a really talented kid, and my hat goes off to him and that whole company over there. They do incredible work.
Do you build your own drones?
I did for a while until I realized that I was just spending way too much time. Like, there's no way I would be able to build something as good as a company already made it.
Right.
So for a long time we were, and I was just because nobody was building it. If there's nobody building, what are you gonna do? You got to build it yourself, right? But then when I started, and I was very opposed to going out and buying one because I was like, screw that. Like, that's for the noobs. It's just for anyone to just go into a store and just buy one. Like, that's not me. And then I flew one. I'm like, oh, all right, that's just me now. I'm like, screw that. Because it just takes too much time and too much energy and money, because you build, you program, you fly, you crash, and then you rinse and repeat that 30 times until you get it right. What the hell for? Just go out and just get it
Buy a
done.
new drone.
Buy a new drone. Leave it alone. Don't try to
Things got
reinvent the
duct
wheel.
tape on it, barely flying.
Yeah, dude, like, forget it, man. The stuff that we would get by, and it's more than I care to admit at this point. Let me just
So
put it that way.
how many drones have you crashed?
Let me put this way. The only way you get better is by putting yourself out there and crashing. I remember when we started our class, I said, guys, you go out to fly, if you're going to be using the drones from Adelphi, if you crash, that's fine. Don't let that scare you. Crashing is part of learning. So long as you walk away from that crash having learned why you crashed, that's fine. I mean, like, pilots will crash sometimes, and regular pilots will crash, but they walk away understanding, when they can walk away, understanding what it is that happened.
Yeah.
If you crash, that's fine. How many times have I crashed? Dozens of times. And even when I fly FPV, I went out this morning, smashed my FPV drone, but that's part of learning to become better. And if you don't push yourself and you're not going to crash, then you won't be better.
Yeah.
The point of doing that is to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation where you want to get a shot or do something. And if you crash, dude, you crash, but learn from that and take that going forward. It makes you better.
It's a metaphor for life as well.
Yeah, it is.
You get knocked down,
Nah,
you got
I
to
mean-
learn from it, get back up, keep moving.
How many countries has drone flying taken you around the world? Because you've been everywhere, right?
I've been very fortunate to have some clients that have taken us around the world, even in countries where drones are just not allowed. Dude, we did a shoot in Nicaragua where as soon as you land, there is a sign that says, it's really weird. It's like, no two-way radios, no harpoons, no drones. Like,
What?
this is the
Harpoon
most
and drone.
this is the most random sign I've ever seen. This has got to be a freaking
No
joke.
harpoons?
And then yeah, exactly. Yeah, no harpoons and no drones. Like, You got to be kidding me.
It's oddly specific.
Exactly. I was like, what the hell is going on here? So yeah, we were down there to shoot some live stuff, and we've been to Africa, I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe, been to South America. I've been to the majority of the continents, and super fortunate I've done that, because at that point you get to see cultures, you get to see how people live, and then you bring that back with you, and you see and in all of that travel, it gives you perspective on everything, because you see cultures, you see how people are living, then you come back here and you're like, wow, man, I got running water. God is good, man. You know, like God, you know, life is good. You know, it puts things in perspective. You know, when you come back and you lay your head down in your bed and you realize how much you miss home, and, you know, waking up and you look at like a hotel ceiling, you know, in your room, and you're like, oh God,
I could finally use my harpoons again.
This is, yeah.
Thank God.
Finally, my two-way radio.
Beautiful.
It makes you appreciate things that you typically wouldn't, you know, not just culturally, but, you know, how other people are living on day-to-day life. So I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite spot to shoot at? What's your least favorite? And then what is something, this is like a trifecta question over here. What's something that you just hate doing involving drones?
Oh,
it's gotta be something. Everyone hates a little bit of something with it.
Yeah,
you know?
okay. Favorite spot to work at, I would say anywhere near Brooklyn, Queens, that you could see Manhattan from. Because at that point, you're flying over the city. Yeah. Because at that point, yeah, man. Because, I mean, there's so much to see there. Like the buildings, the sunset, the reflections off the buildings, the bridges, the traffic, everything. Like everything you really want to see, you know, using the right lenses. It's all absolutely beautiful. I've seen a lot of people be able to submit videos to drone film festivals and stuff, and it's all based off of like where they live. And a lot of times you see like these waterfalls and they're all beautiful and great, and I think of it when I look at these videos, I'm like, gosh, that's so beautiful. But like, that's what they have. Right. That's what they got. That's what they got to submit. And then what I've got to submit are like city shots and here and there. They don't have that. So it's about like, how do we make these locations look as beautiful as they possibly can? So to answer your question, my favorite spot, anywhere along like the East River. Least favorite spot, oh God.
You get a call that you got to go here tomorrow. Where are you dreading?
Gosh, anywhere with a lot of like somewhere like Manhattan or something like that, because, dude, that's just so much interference, and like at that point,
that's so interesting. So you like the shots of outside looking in, but
like
you don't like in looking around.
But it's the same thing. Like let's say you want to live in the boroughs, right? Where would you rather be, in Manhattan, or, you know, to have a view in Manhattan, or to have a view of Manhattan? True. You know, think about that. You know, think about that. You know, the view of Manhattan is much nicer than the view in Manhattan. You know, it's always much nicer.
It's always nicer on the outside.
It is. And then you get there, and then all you hear are sirens and subways and gunshots. You know how it is.
So you said interference. Does that mean like signal interference?
Yeah. I mean, it's Manhattan. You know, you got a lot of stuff that you don't want to happen to the drone. You know, if and when you're doing stuff over there. Yeah, so there's that.
You ever get into altercations with actual people involving the drone?
No. For the most part, people are super like interested in what it is, especially like back in like when we were talking about when back in like 2012, 13, 14.
Yeah.
When I'd go out with the larger drone, because they weren't small, they were all much larger. So you're talking about like 8 motor, 6 motor. People will come up to me and be like, "What the hell is that? Like, what is that?" They couldn't even put a name to it. Yeah. They're like, "What are the lights?" Like, do you work for NASA? Are you here with the U.S. Air Force? I'm like, yes. It's like,
absolutely.
I'd always mess around with people. I'd be like, this is a salami slicer, and we're shooting a mayonnaise commercial. Like, perfect. And for the most part, they're always pretty respectful. But everyone's primarily still was very curious, and they were very respectful about it. And like, you know, they understood, like, once they saw the blade start spinning up, like, whoa, we need to step away the hell from this thing.
Yeah, especially those bigger ones.
Yeah, dude, like, that's no joke. The amount of noise and stuff that they do and wind that they blow around, and the dust starts to flow up, and you see it, man. It's pretty intimidating. Yeah, if you're not used to that kind of stuff. Are you guys? Did you guys ever end up buying drones?
I had a Mavic.
I remember you did. Yeah,
Phantom.
I think you.
No, not a Mavic. A Phantom 2. Or Phantom
You
3.
had a Phantom too?
Phantom 3.
Holy hell, man.
We've joked around about his intro back in the day when we were in your class. He had an intro of like a drone shot of his hometown by like the water tower.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And I remember you saying you need a license to monetize drone shots. And
Right.
I remember at the time I had like 3 or 4 friends on YouTube.
Yeah.
I went back to our group chat. I was like, yo, I'm just saying, guys, it's not acceptable. You're gonna need a license.
Right.
Would you say probably most people probably don't even know that, right? That you need a license in order to monetize?
Look, I am sure that the people who are doing it and monetizing on it are very aware that you need a license to monetize
okay.
on it. But if you don't enforce the rule, then it doesn't matter if the rule is there if you don't enforce it.
True.
You know, that's really what it comes down to. And look, I that's not what that is not by any means what I am here, you know, to push.
Yeah.
What I am saying is, you want to make money off drones, you got to get a license. Sure, absolutely. But if ain't nobody going to stop you to give you a traffic ticket if you blow a red light or a stop sign, then people are just going to keep doing it.
Yep.
True.
That's it. And, you know, the FAA has a lot of other things that they got to deal with right now, but, you know, there's a lot of drones in the air flying around now.
They're not worried about Phil's.
They're not worried about Phil's tower shot.
Water tower
I don't know.
shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful shot, Phil, but, you know.
Thank you.
It was nice. It was solid.
It was a Phantom 3 standard,
Yeah.
and I crashed it, I think, like 3 times.
Yeah.
So the first time...
But definitely not pilot error.
Oh, this was pilot. The first time, I was like showing my cousin. He was up at the top of the street, and I just sent it, and it got clotheslined by a telephone wire,
Bingo.
and it just
That'll happen.
cracked into 2 pieces. And then that one was gone. I had to rebuy another one, and I crashed it. And I actually opened it up, and I bought like the drone repair kits,
Uh-huh.
and I fixed. The only problem was the gimbal, so I
Yeah.
fixed it, and then I was.
Wow,
I was-
that's-
yeah.
You tinker with stuff like that? Like you're...
Really
Fucking Bob
no,
the Builder.
but it was like
Most people would have been like, no.
it was like $500, so I was like, I could try to fix it for like 20.
Yeah.
So I did, and then I flew it again, and
Worked?
it's dead.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry
dead
to hear
now,
that.
but-
No,
At least you got your
I'm sorry.
license. I'm over here with my 38. What did I actually? I want to find the email.
But-
See if I can pull up the email here.
The Phantom 3 standard, I feel like, is so outdated.
Yeah, it is. At this point, like if you guys want to fly a drone, if there was one drone I would recommend for anyone who's trying to like get into this at this point, with like the holidays coming around, take a look at the Mavic. I'm sorry, the Mavic Mini 2.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at that one. That was like $450, something like that. But it's super small. It's no bigger than this cup of coffee here, and like the way when it folds down, and it's got great range, about 30 minutes flight time. I highly recommend that one. That one's a dope drone.
I was in Aruba, and it was like a boat tour. We were like scuba diving and stuff like that.
Mm.
And these kids whipped out a drone, and they started flying it while like I don't know what they were doing, but they were like, you know, diving off the boat and doing
Mhm.
flips and stuff. And one kid was flying it, and he just set it to, I remember it has like the modes where it has like the meteor effect,
Yeah.
and he just let it do its thing, and I was like, I need one of those. My Phantom 3 standard can't do that shit.
Yeah, well, like I said, this stuff moves really quick, and you know that stuff that you're talking about now, like that's like 2-3 year old tech,
Right.
you know. So you know, another year from now, you'll have something even more incredible than that. But have you been able to do anything with your license, or I mean, have you wanted to?
I haven't monetized it really.
Okay, all right. But,
need to renew
but the
it.
opportunity is there.
Yes.
if you need
I
it.
do want to retake the test, and because I have to renew it because it expired. It's been
Right.
2 years, but
Okay, yeah, you do. You have to go take the
I
test
still have
again.
the app and everything.
There you go. I still have the app too. I look at it sometimes and I get nervous.
No, you don't. No, you
I get
don't.
PTSD.
Don't even joke about that.
Are you,
I know
still,
you don't.
are you still teaching?
No, so I would imagine at this point probably no one's going to Delphi. Like, is Delphi still teaching? Like, you guys have been out for a little bit, no?
You
I
just
just
graduated. It was all
Oh,
Zoom
yeah,
pretty
congrats.
much.
Yeah, it's all Zoom pretty much. Like, look, that's more of a hands-on course. I hope that the course is still going. I'm not teaching. I've just focused more on my own business. I mean, at this point, I would get back into it. But I don't really see an effective way of being able to do that course without meeting up with a bunch of people and getting their hands on the sticks, which is, you know, if you guys remember what I was making at least 60 or 70% of our class to be about, you know, let's get outside.
Going outside,
Let's throw this
yep.
drone around and, you know, show you guys what's up. And, you know, and Delphi did a great job at, you know, purchasing the gear and getting the equipment and they were super adamant about it. And I think that they're on board with it. I think that they are on the right track. And it's interesting to see the schools starting to do that. And I'd love to see more schools doing that. I'm sure that they will. And hopefully they have progressed that program. But we were on a pilot program, and you guys were the test mice. You guys were the field rats. Like,
is it true? I don't know if I'm making this up, but wasn't that like the first college program in America that had it?
No
I
way.
doubt that. I doubt
I was gonna say, are we that special?
No,
I guess not.
no. I mean, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. There are definitely other programs, especially out west, because they were just more accepting to it, that sort of stuff, much quicker than we were out here on the East Coast. And I am sure that they already have schools with actual like majors in drone yada yada. So you guys got like a very small portion of that, but being that you guys are obviously in media stuff, I could see. Did you guys graduate like as a what you guys major in?
Both communications. You were a film major too, right? Like concentration in film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like moving image arts, I think it was called. when I graduated.
Yeah. You could see how that could come into play with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm super happy that you guys end up taking the class, because it was a really interesting class, and I still try to remember everybody's names, but being that you guys are on YouTube sometimes, or on Instagram, you guys come across my feed every now and then. I see what kind of shenanigans you guys are up to.
For sure.
It is shenanigans.
When my appendix had to be removed in Georgia, this man DM me. He's like, "Yo, I hope you're good, man." That was fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, that didn't look like fun.
This actually,
that was when you were probably like at the height of like doing all this running, where you guys were calling each other out on runs. I'm like, what is wrong with these kids? Like,
Bro, I think that's what made it like get
That's
bad.
what I was wondering.
I ran 2 miles that morning with appendicitis.
Oh, dude.
And I wanted to ask you though, because he would probably know this more than anyone else. If you're on a plane and your appendix is literally like about to burst, what do? They just land the plane.
I know how to fly a plane. I'm not a doctor. I don't.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, yo, that would probably be the worst.
I can imagine to some degree that maybe like cabin pressure might do something. Like, for example, when I get into a plane, like, I don't know, maybe it's just my ripe old age at this point, but my feet my feet start to freaking swell, man. Like, I don't know, and maybe eventually like that'll like
The pressure does
they just do
weird stuff.
My shoes don't fit by the time I get off the freaking plane. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
here?
my ears always pop. That's
Yeah,
I
dude.
fucking hate that. I got chew gum. And
I got
shit.
no idea what the hell's going on. So maybe, but I'm maybe it was all that running you were doing, man.
It's possible.
You
It's
know,
entirely possible.
I was like literally on my second day of my vacation. They're like,
you guys were doing way too much running. Forget it, man. You guys were doing way too much. I'm like, I was getting tired watching you guys call each other out. I'm like, how many miles today? Like,
that shit was fun.
like, why the hell would you do that?
I tried to find the fucking email, but Adelphi like blocked me from the eCampus. I have it on my phone, but
I'm sure there's a sign with a picture of you in front, like, do not let this guy on campus.
I wanted to ask you. You probably don't remember, but who knows? Maybe you did if it impacted you. I want a genuine response. Did you feel like I was an annoying student?
No.
Really?
There was another kid in the class.
Phil.
Oh God!
No, there was another.
There was another Phil in our class, wasn't there?
I don't know.
I think there was.
I think there was another kid in our class named Phil.
I think there was. I don't know, but there was another guy, and he was just. And I was ready for him too. Like, I knew that there was. I knew that there was going to be. I knew that there was going to be. Someone was going to be. There's always the one that's got the smart ass answers and this and that, and just kind of like poke here and poke there. And I was like, "Oh, you're really interested? Well, we could talk about this after class.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about this after class and not waste everybody else's time? How about that?" But I already knew that was going to happen. But you guys were always a pleasure to have in class, man, because that was my first time like teaching actually like in academia, and it was an absolute pleasure, man. It was an absolute pleasure. I because of that class, I would definitely do it again. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I asked because I remember one professor, I won't mention names, but I'll tell you later. One professor at Adelphi, I remember, just stopped me in the hallway and just goes, "Vinny, you're very annoying." Because
I know what you're talking about.
I used to email professors all the time, like to make sure I was like good.
Like you were gonna graduate.
I would panic about grades all the time because I was nowhere near like failing. I don't know why I was so like stressed out about grades, but I always wanted to make sure like if we took a test, I wanted to know the grade like immediately. So I would blow up professors' emails like, "Hey, did you grade the test? If you could send me the grade before the weekend's over, like that'd be great." And I'm like, "Fuck." She said I was annoying. There's probably other professors that probably thought I was just a pain in the ass at times.
No,
but it's because I cared. I had that passion.
There you go.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm sure that's what it was. Or you didn't want the anxiety through the weekend.
I got bet. You ever have anxiety? Anything
dude.
that makes you stressed out or
Every time a big drone goes up.
really?
Every time a big drone goes up, man, dude. Forget it, man. I don't want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it, man.
Yeah, we talk about anxiety a lot on the show in particular, just because for whatever reason, we both trap ourselves in our own heads a lot of the time. Me especially. just overthinking nonsense.
But that's good because that pushes you to be better. If you go to sleep thinking about how you could be better or how you could better like your podcast at this and that, yeah, okay, that's anxiety, but that you're thinking about stuff that other people who are in your position aren't thinking about. You just go to bed. No, screw it, whatever.
Another professor told me that. It's so funny that you say that too.
Yeah,
it is a double-edged sword though, because there are times where I'm like, just shut the fuck up. Like it's enough already. We went over this 15 times.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's not just when you're before you go to sleep. I'm sure when you're driving too. You're thinking about what's the next step? Like what's the next step? And if you keep that mentality, forget it. The sky's the limit for you, man. Forget it.
Do you have any like 10-year goals with drones? Is there like a movie or like?
You know what? Not so much necessarily with drones. Probably like to be able to shoot a full length film. Not necessarily just drones, because in the end, I offer the drone service, but we offer like what I like to do is I'm more on the creative end, and so that's actually how my buddy Pablo and I came to become friends. Like the same way you guys are, right here. See, like. When I look at you two, I see, myself and Pablo, right? You guys can pick whoever you want to be right now.
I'm gonna be
but
I'll be Pablo.
here's the fact of the matter. So funny story, man. So I met Pablo at Queens College, and I knew that I wanted to do film because I took an intro course to video production, and I'll never forget it. There was this professor. Her name was Professor Macmillan, and wonderful woman, and the way she taught and the way she said things like completely inspired me. And I always found myself to be more of a creative kid. Like I played the guitar, I played the drums. When I was a kid, I used to paint or whatever. So I wanted to get into this, and I saw all the programs that were being done, and everything that I wanted to get into was already filled for the semester. I was like, no, man, I need to get into a class and do this. And the only thing that was available was this advanced class, and it had prereqs before you got into it. So like, how hard could it be, man? Like, how hard could this really be? Like, yeah. Right. So I go and I speak to the head of the department. I'm like, listen, dude, nothing else is open. I could do this. He's like, dude, you can't do this. I'm like, get the hell out of my goddamn way. I could do this. Your son is like, dude, like you're gonna pay for these credits. If you fail, you fail. I'm like, psh, get out of my way. So he signs me off. I'm so glad I was able to convince him. I go, I take the class. He was 100% right. Oof. I bit off more than I could chew. Now, wait a minute. This was back when you needed like for cameras, like you needed like mini DV tapes. This was like you had to put a freaking tape. Never mind micro SD cards and SD cards. Forget all that crap. And then you had to load it into a dock and into your Apple. My entire life I've been a Windows guy. Now we got to deal with the Apple because they were the only ones at that point who had like right. I'm like, God damn it. So I get into the class, and we get our first project, and I remember I had. One or another, I managed to finagle my way to be able to film what I needed. But then I go into the editing part of it, and they had an editing studio. And the only person that was ever in there was Pablo. And so I had no freaking clue. I was a fish out of water, dude. I was a fish out of water. And so I sat next to this kid, and I'm like, hey, help me. Help me. I'm like, how do I get the stuff in this tape onto that screen? He's like, are you freaking kidding me, man? Like, you were just in my class. Like, you're in advanced class. Right. I'm like, never mind that shit. Just answer my goddamn question.
Come on, Pablo. What the fuck?
That's not important, Pablo.
Yeah, that's not right. That's not important right now. Let's focus on what's at the hand at issue right now, right? The issue at hand. So he's like, all right. So he helps me out, and then he puts his headphones back on because he's listening to the sound and the editing, whatever. So that takes about 15 minutes to dump all that footage in. And I'm like, hey, psst, how do I get all that stuff into the timeline? He's like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So I realize that's what's going on now. And while all this stuff is getting dumped into timelines and getting all into the computer, I'm looking over at his shots. I'm like, can I take a listen at like your dialogue here or whatever? Like, because your shots look very, very generic. Like, I mean, like, you shot this?
That's elementary.
Yeah, that's yeah. No, but like,
that's bold.
And I'm gonna get to. Yeah. Especially from someone who had no idea.
This guy's helping you out. You're like, your shots are a little bland.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, like at the time, I mean, I probably shouldn't have approached him like that, but it all worked out for the best. So I'm looking at him like, dude, like, can I take a listen to your dialogue here at what you wrote here? And listen, I'm like, yeah, this is not good. And now keep in mind now that English is Pablo's second language. He's very good at it, but I don't know, maybe like on the creative side, he wasn't, like there was a little bit lacking there. But that's okay because I was completely lacking on the production side. I have no idea. Like I said, I was a fish out of water. So a couple of classes went on it, and I spoke to him. I was like, dude, like we can make some videos together. I'll write the script. I'll like make the shots happen. You bring the gear, the audio, and we're gonna figure this crap out. And that's how we're gonna move together. And that's how we're gonna move forward. And I'll put it blandly here. Like if it wasn't for that guy, I'd probably still be trying to graduate at Queens College under that program. So, long story short here, if it wasn't for him on the production side where I was lacking, I probably wouldn't be, coming to, and from where he was lacking on the creative side and on very small portions of the production side, we managed to help each other out to be able to make the best things that we could going through. And we realized that within all of that we worked pretty good together, because after production, after we would shoot, shit, man, we'd go out and have a couple of drinks and go party and that. And, and then as we were there, because we knew that this was something that we wanted to do, we never flipped off. Yeah, we'd be at a party having a good time, but we were always like, that's interesting. Maybe that'd make a really cool scene. Like, what are you thinking about that? And like, be drowning a beer, lighting a cigarette. Like, yeah, that's great. Let's kind of throw something like that into and then we'd go on about our business. So I see that with you two. I see that with you two guys. And, if you guys click together and stuff, so long as there's built trust and you guys know what the main purpose for what you're trying to do here, and you keep that as a focus, there's nothing that's going to stop you guys from going wherever the hell you want to go.
Jesus
absolutely
fucking
nothing.
Christ, I just got more inspired than ever.
Absolutely nothing. Woo! Absolutely, dude. This guy, I've known him for 20 years, and we still work the same way we did in college. The same way we did in college. Mm-hmm. And I am nothing without him. And it's probably this, and that's okay, because we've built the people who know us like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I am who I am with him, and he is who he is with me. And together we're able to bring this business and this name together to
the ultimate drone package.
Dude, it really just is. And even to this day, man, we operate the same way out of like we did at Queens College, man.
The most amazing thing with stories like that, and I love thinking deeper into things like this, because it's like that one interaction you had that one day where he helped you. Years later, you have no idea what something you produce had a ripple effect together that affected somebody's life. Like I think about this all the time. Me and this kid met in a drone class.
Yeah.
We have our professor on right now. We make content for people that hopefully, if they're having a bad day, they laugh, they smile. And that all came from me and you just checking a box on what we wanted in our schedule for that year of school.
Isn't that amazing?
It's fucking insane. Like, I just got
effect.
a little bit of chills. Like,
the ripple effect of all that.
Like life just, you meet people,
turns, man.
You make shit. People watch it, they then get inspired, they might make something. I'm sure you've come into contact with people that have been inspired by you and your business that have gone off and did similar stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
And I'm like I said, I'm grateful for all of that, and you have to remember all of that stuff moving forward. Remember where you came from, remember what you did, remember how it all started, because, and just to keep things in perspective here, till this day, we still go to Bowery Mission and we drop off a bunch of toys. I'm out of the Marine Corps and I no longer get toys from, Toys for Tots, but if it wasn't for that place, I might still be pushing a vacuum. I don't know. Maybe it would have taken longer for me to say, to hell with all this, or with my dad's company, I'm just going to go do something else. I don't know where it'd be. I mean, I'll be somewhere, but probably not here talking to you today.
It's crazy, man. One little decision.
That's it. Like, you're talking about, you're checking the box, me talking to Pablo, annoying the living shit out of this kid, and then talking to that guy at the Bowery Mission. Forget it.
And you could just do it forever. It's like me deciding at a high school to go to Adelphi, you leaving Fordham to go to Adelphi. It's like, well, what the hell put it in our heads to do that? But you ended up creating this epic fucking bromance. It's fucking crazy, man. Life is a weird, unexplainable trip.
Yeah, it is. It is. Just always remember where you came from and how it all started.
Humble beginnings.
What do you do for fun?
Oh, dude.
Do you play video games?
Yeah, what's the passion besides drone?
No, I'll jump in that airplane, man. Okay. I'll jump in that airplane and I'll fly to out to Long Island, Block Island, Connecticut, anywhere I want to go. Just go. It's the most incredible thing in the world, man. It really is. Between that and also like flying FPV, that's become like an interesting hobby and a passion that I've been doing along now. And working on a motorcycle and a car I'm restoring. Besides that, the drone stuff pretty much takes up the rest of my life.
Does the drone, like mechanic stuff, carry over to the car stuff? Like, where does your mechanic?
Dude, it's actually the other way around, man. I learned mechanics just by some electrical engineering mechanics by learning how I had to build drones.
Right.
Because there was nothing, like I said, there was nothing around to like actually teach me. So I went ass backwards, pretty much like the same way I went into that media class. I took the advanced level and then have to work my way back like an idiot. The stuff that I learned putting together the drone stuff actually carried over. A lot of it just started making sense. Like, oh, okay, this is how electricity works. Interesting. Okay, this is how things spin. This is how things turn. This is how wires carry their. This is how things get programmed in them. And the more you crash and the more you rebuild, the more things just make sense to you. Like, okay, that spins this way. That spins. Okay, well, if it's making a noise over here, it's probably something down here. So it makes you want to, poke at stuff and to like really get into it more than you typically would have if I hadn't gotten into drone stuff.
Were you always like mechanical or no?
I was always interested in getting into the whole mechanical thing, but I think that a lot of my mechanical stuff, and this is going to sound weird, comes from me always my musical background. It's going to sound weird for a second, but hold on with me for a second here. I had, when I was in college, I had joined a band. I was a guitar player for a band, and we had done a couple of auditions with some drummers, and they just really didn't pan out. I was like, you know what? How hard could it be, man? I can figure this shit out. I'm like, watch. Okay, yeah, it's the drums. Like, I'm a pretty good dancer. I'll figure something out, right? So I bought myself a drum set and I just figured it out. Then I became the drummer. Now, because the guitarist at that point, it was much easier to find. So
I used to play the drums.
Yeah. I saw a drum on the way down. I'm like, who the hell plays drums?
I was mean with the paradiddles.
Paradiddle.
Flam taps. I had a drum teacher for a while, but I stopped doing it. But I would love to pick that back up because it's been a long time. It's fun, man.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a great workout too. So I learned how to play the guitar. I learned how to play drums. I learned how to play at some point a bit of the piano and even a bass guitar. And just figuring out the mechanics of that, it all just kind of makes sense. There's a rhythm to it. There's a pattern to it, and you just figure all that stuff out. I feel like in many cases that actually like carried over in me being able to understand a lot of in drones and mechanics as well. It did. I don't know if that's hard to if I'm making any sense right now, but I do attribute a lot of that to, because even in like problem solving day to day, like I feel like the just drumming and stuff, like that sort of rhythm that you carry with you and like figuring out like rhythms and listening to it, it carries into you figuring out things in life generally. Like it's I don't know if I'm making much sense about it, but
I get what you're saying. Because I always tell my friends, like a bunch of my friends, we use editors now, but when you're starting out, everyone edits their own stuff, and it's like from being good with music and rhythm, I'm able to like cut things well with visuals and music.
You see what I'm saying?
It's all intertwined.
Yeah. See, so that's helping you in being able to put stuff together there.
I just feel like everything you learn in some way can go to other aspects of
if you think about it, right? Yeah,
because
absolutely.
like you become more well-rounded in everything you do, and it helps with every aspect of.
What type of music do you listen to?
Oh, dude, I am a huge '90s kid.
Let's go.
Forget it.
Like Blink 182.
Forget it. Blink, Bush, No Doubt, all that stuff. Like Nirvana. Even Tool. 311.
That's like my favorite band.
Sublime.
Look at this, Sublime.
My favorite band, Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
Third Eye Blind,
fucking
Third Eye Blind, man.
Dude.
Third Eye Blind,
so
man.
Good.
Like one of the last shows that I went to before shit hit the fan around here and around the world really was a Third Eye Blind show in Atlantic City, and
that's amazing.
It was if that was gonna be the last show I get to see live for a little while, I'm glad it was that one.
I saw a TikTok in 1996. Apparently, the #1 song that's the year I was born was Macarena. I saw that. I was like, this can't be accurate, right? But you think about the Macarena is a huge fucking song. I just didn't know it came out in 96.
Yeah, dude.
90s music is the best.
It really is. And even to this day, like whenever I'm going somewhere, if I'm in the office, just whatever,
throwback playlist.
90s music. I don't mess around with anything past like 2000, 2005.
So there's no new cats?
You don't know Megan Thee Stallion?
Who?
I'm a savage.
Is that
You've had to have heard that song before.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
How's
Classy, bougie.
Oh,
rashy.
okay. There was a point in time, but I don't know who sings that. I don't know where that's from. I don't, dude. You guys are
not for nothing though. You should. I'm dead serious. You should put your drone footage and stuff on TikTok. TikTok. I swear he hates TikTok, but as far as an algorithm,
I haven't been ticking with the talking,
dude.
Man.
You just get eyeballs on your stuff, man. It's insane. It's like for that opportunity, like because I very rarely see like drone footage and stuff. If you could fill that niche with just like cool shots, because it's a minute long content, little bite-sized piece of content. You could take stuff that you filmed for the last 10 years and throw it up on there.
You were
probably go huge.
Probably 100% right. this is something for you guys also to take forward with you, going through as you progress through this. I hope to see next time we sit down, you guys are in a studio. I mean, this is the beginning. I mean, you see where Amazon and Apple and all these people, they all start from a garage, man. You guys are in a legit studio with some sick mics. Keep this in mind, man. As you progress, there's going to be a certain people that you want to, appeal to, and that's not to say that I don't want to appeal to anybody on TikTok. It's not that. It's just that. Perfect example. I was on a shoot and there was this guy, he's a DIT, and what he does, he's a loader. He saves all the data from the shoot so that everything is archived and done everything. And this guy's setup was just so freaking sick. He was just so freaking sick. I was like, dude, I need your details, your number. Like, how much do you charge? What's your day rate, man? He's like, I'm like, well, what's your contact information? He's like, he goes to me, he's like, kid, the people who have to know me know me.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
this guy's whipped out a 16-inch dick.
Dude, I was like, whoa. That's freaking cool. I dig that. I get it. And yes, to some degree, you're right. Getting eyes on my stuff is okay, but like, that's not really where I'm going. I'm sure TikTok, it serves many different purposes, but the type of people that are going to call me for work, I'm probably not going to find much of them on TikTok, and that's why I barely post any of my work on Instagram. Like I was
going to ask.
That's
barely
a very
post.
Interesting take.
I barely, because most of my clients are not coming from Instagram. Right. They're coming from, I was on a shoot with another dude who saw what I did and liked the way we did business, and that was that.
I was going to ask.
And that's not to discredit Instagram or anything. Absolutely not, because I do get some business from Instagram, but that's not the larger majority where I get it from, and I'm grateful for it. But it's not the more along of the clientele I'm going for, for what I do. But there's money to be made out there. Absolutely, you're 100% right. But I'd much rather stick to the level of what this guy is saying. The people who have to know me, and carry that with where you go.
I hear that and I'm like, it's a badass delivery. It's a badass statement. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I just feel like no matter what, there are new people to meet that could really shake things up in a big way.
Absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
I just feel like networking in general.
Well, yeah.
This is not speaking to you personally. I'm saying in general.
You know how long it took me to get on Instagram, my man?
I know.
You know how long it took me to get on? Dude, forget it, man. Forget it.
Like, I think you're talking about maximizing eyeballs on content, right?
Yeah.
Whereas his clientele, his approach just kind of speaks for itself. Like, you go on a shoot, his caliber of work, the people are going to call him.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's there's different levels of all of this. There are people who want to go out and shoot real estate, and that's all good. These are all different levels of business, and we did that too. And then eventually you start to realize, I want to graduate to something else. Like, you didn't have these mics probably, I don't know, a year ago? Did you have these mics a year ago?
We did start with these.
You did? Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I take that back. My bad. But you probably won't.
Tablecloth? We didn't have the table.
There, see, things change. You move forward. You progress. You got lights. You got cameras. You got all this stuff. You start to progress, and you start to want something bigger, better.
So,
above.
Did you get that guy's contact info?
I'm sure I'll see him again on a shoot. Okay. I'm sure I'll see him again. But I did get his contact info, and he was when he said that to me, I was like, "Damn, dog." You
all right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was my follow-up. Like, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, you're like, I'm just going to walk away now. I get it. That's the end of the conversation. I could tell.
So what is that next step for the business, for the company? Like, what is the ideal, or are you already there? Are you just living the dream to the fullest?
My business has kept growing, thank goodness. Like I said, I'm very grateful for all of that. At this point, it's probably just going to be just growing up what we've already grown off of, just more stuff. What I want to do, like I said before, is to be able to create more of our own content. So we are not just a production company, but we're also a creative agency. And because we've been so busy with shooting other people's projects, I've never been able to have the opportunity to go out and shoot one of my own ideas, like one of my own things. And when COVID hit, I was like, wow, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it ever again. So, like, again, with the pilot's license and to be able to shoot our own stuff. So I put together an idea. I wanted to go out, and I thought it would be a super interesting idea to just go out into the city and just film the empty city streets when stuff was a crazy lockdown, man. Like there was nobody around, like completely, like, it was like, what the hell was going on? So I would go out, super early in the morning into Manhattan, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, wait for the sun to rise as the light was coming through the streets and just start filming because the place was desolate. I mean, it was, you couldn't even hear a church mouse rolling around. Like, forget it. The place was like an empty hallway. And it was just the most spectacular thing I had ever seen. So that combined with a couple of creative angles that we decided to take, we shot like a 3-part series of just a man walking through Manhattan and made it look like there were a couple of messages in it, but super desolate. And for the first time in many years, we were actually able to shoot something. We edited it and we submitted it to a couple of film festivals. We got in and we won a bunch of them.
Oh, wow. Let's go.
And that was the first time. Like, so that was the first time that we were able to like sit down and do that. So to answer your question, moving forward, I would love to be able to have more time to show that we are not just a company that shoots content, but we create the content as well. So more on a creative side. So you can't forget that as well, because I mean, if you can prove that, then, you know, it's like, it's just a whole nother level for us, you know, and that's really where I want to go with it.
Satisfying, like a creativity bug is one of the most satisfying feelings in
dude.
the world. Especially you've been saying you've been creative forever, man.
Yeah, man, forget it. Like, I've been wanting to shoot something like that for ourselves for a long time. I just never had the opportunity to, because everything just monkey wrenches keep getting thrown into our situation.
COVID for sure was, you know, it still is a shit show, but if you do look at the glass half full, there was a lot of opportunity for like self-growth and just trying to figure out like new avenues of where you want to take your life.
This morning I spoke to a guy. I was at an FPV field. It's interesting the kind of people you run into these guys, into these fields. And we were flying FPV and he told me the very same thing. He's like, Eddie, you know, ever since, and I've flown with him every now and then, Eddie, ever since COVID hit, like I just started to reevaluate my life, realize what's more important. And I think a lot of people are doing that. And I hope that they are, because when we come out of this, people are just going to be living differently generally. And I think they're going to start to focus more on what's important and then what isn't so important, and start to, you know, cut the fat. And I think that's going to be super important for a lot of people coming out of this, because there's a lot of stuff going on in a lot of people's heads right now, man. You know, people with families losing their business, losing all their time and money. And it just, time to think, time to think.
For sure. Holy shit. This was, first of all, when I first DM'd you and you're like, yeah, you know, I don't know if your audience wants to hear what I have to say.
I don't think so. I still don't understand why the hell people
You were fucking incredible.
Wait, why do you think that though?
Because I've watched you guys' show and I'm like, you guys are more, you know, hip with the hop or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just making it out. But you guys are more like, you know, into like today's stuff. I'm just some friggin' guy.
We're into fucking conversation.
I'm just some friggin' guy.
But listen,
who flies drones for a living?
There's a lot of people.
You're
fly
way more
drones
interesting, I think, than you give yourself credit for sure. I mean, people are gonna walk away from this one with a lot of thinking to do, for sure.
Maybe,
I hope so.
Maybe some drone pilots in the
comments.
Maybe some drone pilots. And you know, if you have people, I'll put that out there. If you have people that have questions or whatever, feel free to you know, reach out to me. I'm at Xizmomedia on my Instagram. Xizmomedia. That's Xizmo. If you have drone questions, I'm more than happy to, like, you know, answer them. You know, wherever that comes from.
We'll link all your stuff down below.
Yeah, whatever. That's totally cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
The people that know him.
The people that know him already know him.
Yeah.
Guys,
you need to know
he knows everybody already. All right, forget about it.
Yeah.
All right. So before we wrap up the show, we usually do a segment called Grandmother of the Week.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't even want to know where this is going to. Like, where's it? With you, who knows?
Long story short, you know, you say one or two nice things about your grandmother if you'd like, and we feature the grandmother with a picture if you want. If not, we just, you know, talk about them.
Gosh.
I like to appreciate the generation.
The grandmother
that set us up.
All right.
Is
well,
she good at cooking? You know, any fond memories?
She was very good at cooking. My grandmother's name is Josephine. Quick story. My grandfather moved to Venezuela. My grandmother's from Venezuela. My grandfather was Polish after World War II, moved to Venezuela, got hitched up. My grandmother's name is Josephine, and she was an incredible cook, and she was always so attentive to myself and to me and to my brother and my sister. I'll never forget her, and I am grateful to have the opportunity to have memories of her, because that could be very rare in a lot of situations where a lot of people just grow up and don't really have the opportunity to meet or even have any memories of their grandparents. So yeah, Josephine, she was Josefina. She was an incredible woman for sure.
Beautiful, man. the relationships that we form. It's the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Ed, thanks for coming on.
Hey,
man.
thanks for having me,
This
man.
was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I
man,
cannot
it was
wait
great
to
seeing
upload
you
this
guys.
one. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
Oh man, keep your head up, man. Keep your head up. It's difficult in these times, but think about what you want to do. Think about what you don't want to do, and if you have a passion, now's the time to do it.
Yes, sir.
Now, go do it.
Phil, any final words?
Say hello to your grandmother.
Ladies and
Say hello
gentlemen,
to
thank you so much
grandmother.
for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave some comments. Let us know what did you think about this fucking fire episode right here. And we'll see you guys next week at 12 p.m. EST as usual. Peace, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you later. Bye.